Good morning. Hi, I'm the Reverend Dr. Laura Kim Joyner, and welcome to our Sunrise Birding for Life mindfulness practice. Today is January 28th. It is the 6th week of winter. Sunrise here today is at 7:24. I don't think we're going to get a good look at it. But we sure do see the orange and pink coming, don't we? We have not only passed our shortest day, the solstice on December 21st, but we've also passed the average coldest day here in South Carolina, which was the 18th of January, 37 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's colder than that these days here. We had an ice storm come through much of the United States in the south. We got just an inch or so here of snow mixed with ice. And I wonder what it did in your area. And it continues cold because we have an Arctic blast, but it's also cold because one, the days are shorter, we have less sunlight, but it's because that the Earth is tilted away from the sun, so we have a more oblique angle. So it's just colder. We get less direct sunlight. And the halfway point, we're getting there between solstice, the 21st of December, and Groundhog's Day in bulk. And spring equinox is in bulk. It's Groundhog's Day on February 2. So we're going to talk about winter today because that's what it's all about in this area where I am today. So we have a while to go where it's still going to be cold and dark. How do the birds get through being cold and dark? We're going to talk about that today. How do you get through the dark times, perhaps, if not the winter cold times? When I moved to Rochester, Minnesota, it was much colder than here. And the advice from the local people is you've just got to get out in it. So that's what we're doing. We're outside in the winter, cold. We're just getting out in it and we're doing it together. So again, welcome. What are the stars and the moon doing in your area? Our moon is waxing gibbous. It's getting, well, around the whole world, it's getting bigger. Not a lot of planets up in the sky. We can see Jupiter and Saturn certainly up. What's going on in the biotic community? What are the birds doing in your area? Please leave a note. So far this morning, I've heard crows and goldfinches. Pretty quiet when it's this cold here. So I'll just keep listening and we'll interrupt me and when we think we hear some birds. So what is the reading for today? Winter perches like a bird, wings tucked in so close that the soul is heard. So winter is a time often for those of us who live in the northern latitudes, quiet and rest and contemplation. There's less light. We're moving around less. It's colder outside. So during this time of some of our longest nights, I just want to reflect on the dark times of our lives. And I'd like to refer to St. John of the Cross. He called the dark night of the soul, and whatever we mean by soul, but our internal state, who we are deeply, that we may not even be aware of all the beauty and the connection that we are. And of course, the dark night of the soul can happen at any time, not just when the sun's a little bit late in rising, but it's just going to happen at any time. We have seasons of the soul, of our inner being, as well as seasons of winter. So, what does the dark night of the soul mean? A time of crisis, of a deep darkness of the soul, where we question our existence, that maybe we haven't been living the way that we want to, or perhaps it's not an individual pursuit, that our society is not living the way that the status quo that can be sustained. Something needs to change in the society and ourselves. And so we go through a time perhaps of depression and anger and lethargy, sadness, anxiety. We just know that something needs to change. And it can be painful and not a lot of fun. I remember learning to be a minister, and they always talk about these growth points. Oh, another growth point for you. Well, thank you very much. I don't think I want any more of those. But it is when I learned some of the most profound lessons in my life, is when I'm uncomfortable and painful. And the pieces that come with these growth points or the dark night of the soul is that they can be very transformational. We can come out on the other side with a deeper understanding, changing the ways we live, a deeper love, a greater connection to life, um, just a whole new orientation based on our values and what is good in this world, a richer inner life. We come into the light. But light is always part of darkness. We know that. Spring and winter, night and day, lost and found, grief and joy, they all belong, as does the winter, as do you. Well, what about the science and the going on in the world and the social sciences? What's going on with light and dark? How do birds get through the winter? Well, all kinds of species of birds and all kinds of winters, or perhaps the dry season or the hot season or the windy season, wherever you are. And what we want to remember comes out of the rewilding ecology that we aren't just the seer, we are being seen. When we watch birds, we become the bird and we are in this deep relationship. So let's work on and let's think about being in relationship with others that are getting through the winter. And I'm going to pick cold because this is where we are in the Northern Hemisphere. So what do birds do to get through the winter? Well, again, it depends on the species of bird. A lot of them just leave. They go somewhere where there's more abundant food. Well, what about our bug and insect eaters that stay around here? Several of them will change their diet. They will shift away from having quite as many insects, which they can still get in the bark and eggs. You know, they can still find those, but they eat more berries and nuts and will change their diet during this time. As I said, they cache food in the barks. So they have seeds and things around. A lot of different species of birds will do that so they can pull those out during the winter. Let's see, what are some other things that birds do? They can manage the cold, and we want to know, do they feel cold? Now, they have different neuroreceptors than we do, and maybe it's not quite as painful as my fingers are right now, but we have to assume that there's some discomfort because they move towards strategies to help them deal with the cold. They will fluff their feathers to stay warm. They will tuck their heads underneath their wings, and they'll sit on their legs to cover their bare legs. Now, a lot of birds have this counter current circulatory system where they can have warm blood going into their feet and cools, and it comes back to the body and warms up and goes down. So they can take care of their feet, and they don't. And a lot of birds' feet don't have as much muscle mass as we do, or as much liquid, so they can withstand a lot of cold on their feet. But they still sit down. They still have the counter current blood circulatory system, and they pile into cavities. They'll just go in, and where they may not be cavity nesters or not nesting, they will find or make new cavities during the winter to try and stay warm. Let's see. They have the countercurrent heat exchange. Oh, they just eat more? Do you find that you do that as well during the winter? We just eat more. And there's one other pretty interesting thing that birds do. It's not so much a strategy for the winter, but in a way, it's a strategy for migration. Is they can have gonadal regression. So birds need to be light to fly, and especially if they're any type of migratory species, you want to, you have your fat, but you want to be as light as you can. So they have hollow bones, they have air sacs, and a lot of our birds have gonadal regression. Take, for instance, the American robin, which we have here, and it's one of the birds that really comes here a lot during the winter. We don't have many during the summer, but they're all around now and fairly good numbers. They have internal testicles, internal gonads, will decrease in size during the winters. They have less weight, and then when the day length gets greater and greater, the testicles will grow up to 500 times in the size that they were before. And that's because they need to produce reproductive hormones for singing and territory, as well as to fertilize their eggs. So that's one of the strategies that birds do to get through the winter and as the cycle goes through the year. Okay, so what's our practice for today? Well, as always, it's just to take a moment, breathe, birds without words, right? I just want to look at that sunrise. So wherever you are for your practice, go look out a window, look up. All kinds of benefits from doing that. Even looking at a video of birds, live webcam from Cornell will work. So what's our observation for today? Well, sort of our practice for today. It's sort of what we do a lot in birding. So I would say pick one species of bird and watch them. A couple minutes, longer if you can. What changes do you see in this species for the winter where you are? Are they gone? Are there more numbers, less in numbers? What are they eating? Has the diet changed the way they forage? Change in plumage. They're not in their breeding plumage, they're in their winter plumage. Is their flock size change? A lot of birds come together in the winter because they're not in the reproductive pair, so they grow together in flock size during the winter and to migrate, such as our robins. They're pairs during the summer here, and right now they're in pretty big groups. Our blackbirds too, our red-winged blackbirds. Have they changed their diet? And then go look up information about what's going on with this bird. The internet's really great these days, or your bird book. How do they change during the winter? Go check your assumptions. Go find out all that you can. And then as you think about this bird, we often say to move like the bird as you're watching the bird, but just imagine during the winter what the bird is going through. We assume that they feel cold, a discomfort because they move towards strategies to stay warm, and but maybe they feel it differently than we do. What are their motivations? What are their needs during the winter? Finding different kinds of food, more sociability in their bigger flocks, staying warm. And so just think about their feelings or their emotion state or their proprioception state of their body. What's going on? And we might even use emotional words. We could say anxiety, stress, cold, hunger. Now, it's true that we don't know what another is feeling and needing. We don't even really know for our own selves. But the imagination exercise puts us into a place of empathy and perhaps its corresponding partner compassion. So we just imagine what it is like. And sometimes our intuition is spot on. That's our practice for the week. Go out and look at birds, right? Think about what they're doing in the winter. Go look up what's going on for them in the winter, and then imagine their feelings and needs. Our questions for the week, and please put them into the chat or put in the comments here. Email us, contact us, journal them. So some of our questions might be, how is this winter for you in this coldest, darkest time of the year in the Northern Hemisphere? Or maybe hottest, driest, rainiest, windiest. Yes. How does weather impact you? Dark, cold, wind? Is it something new, full of wonder, unanticipated that arouses all your senses? Were you really checking the weather out last week, knowing how much ice and snow was going to come and did come? It was a huge storm. What are the burdens of the weather? Shoveling, cold, hot, ill health. How do we live with both the wonder of winter and the burden of these times in our lives? I have a lot of questions for today. Have you had a dark night of the soul? Are you in one now? How did you get through it? Did you have help? Have you helped others get through the dark night of the soul? And if you have had hard times, what has changed for you or might be changing or that you wish to change? The transformation, the light on the other side of the darkness. Winter can be a celebration. Not that you have to feel it today or that there's any requirement, but it can be. What can we celebrate here and now in the beauty of the winter? Once heard a quote saying the bird flies south for the winter, not because it's cold, but because they have wings. So there's something freeing and liberating as we live through the cycles of our lives. So in closing, faith is the bird that feels the light even before the light of dawn comes. We know day will come. We know spring and summer will come. We can have faith in that. So, right. So, just a few announcements. We're down to doing our Birding for Life sunrise practice just once a month on Wednesday, once a week on Mondays. I want to remind you about our unconditional solidarity campaign in Honduras. I'll be there for 2 months starting on March 1st. We'll be broadcasting live, trying to charge our batteries for all our satellite dishes. So, we'll be doing Birding for Life from there and also be in solidarity with the people and parents and protecting. We have a whole bunch of online programming, so please sign up and make sure you get on the schedule so you know what's coming on. And in February, coming up in two weekends is the Great Backyard Bird Count. We're going to have a bird and brunch here and check out our bird list here for the winter. And so I invite you to participate in that as well. After dark always comes light. After night always comes day.